Today I'm going to tell you why Milton Friedman got school choice backwards. But first, a personal story. Once upon a time, I was an executive at the Cato Institute. Every day I'd go into the office, but sometimes it felt like policy was slow to change. One day through work, I met a guy named Jeff Sandifer for lunch in Austin, Texas. We came to talk policy, but he brought his 9-year-old son, Charlie, with him to the business meeting. Now I thought, you don't bring your children to business meetings in Washington, D.C., but this is Texas, so we'll go with it. It turned out that Jeff and his wife, Laura, had just started a new school called Acton Academy for their 2 boys, Charlie and Sam. When the conversation turned to Acton, I remember it to this day, just how alive Charlie was. He lit up with excitement and joy. He couldn't wait to tell me about the amazing things that they were doing at Acton. And I remember this moment in the conversation where Charlie looked at Jeff and Dad looked into his son's eyes, and I saw this mixture of love and pride and joy. I remember coming home and telling my wife, Nicole, wow, I don't know exactly what they're doing at Acton Academy, but if we ever have children, we should check it out. Flash forward a couple years. I get an email from Jeff. He says, David, we've gotten to the point with Acton Academy where we're inviting other parent entrepreneurs in other cities to start Actons for their own kids. Do you know anyone? I said, Jeff, I can't believe you're emailing because my wife, Nicole, is 8 months pregnant, and we would be interested. So our daughter, Madeline, is born. She is 6 weeks old, and we get on her first plane flight to Austin, Texas. We spend an entire week at Acton Academy observing in the classroom, and we were completely blown away by what we saw. We saw children who were independent and self-directed, who were taking ownership over their own learning. And you might think this looks like chaos, but instead, we saw spontaneous order. Children working hard, holding themselves accountable, and challenging each other. The most important thing we saw was joy. We saw children who were so happy to be going to school and to be learning new things. So Nicole and I said, right then or there, that's it. Either we're moving to Austin, Texas to get on the wait list, or we're going to start on the journey to open the first Acton Academy in Washington, D.C. If we knew how hard it would be, we should have moved to Austin. It's a cool town. Everybody seems to be moving to Austin. Nothing wrong with Austin. Instead, we took the harder road to open the first Acton in D.C. Before we opened our school, we decided to serve the community. We wanted to do something fun and show people who we are. So we started an event called the Acton Children's Business Fair of Washington, D.C. This is a super fun event where children ages 6 to 14 become entrepreneurs for a day. They create a business, sell to real customers, and keep the profits. We provide tents and tables like a farmer's market. It's that simple. Children learn about entrepreneurship, but more importantly, children and parents experience how much deeper, more meaningful, and fun learning can be. Let me show you what this looks like. Families loved it. They said, hey, I hear you're thinking about starting a new school. Tell us more. We said, we're not ready yet, but we're very happy to take your name and put it on a mailing list. We served the community like this for 3 years before we opened our school. When we were finally ready, we opened our school in a historic row house in Foggy Bottom, just blocks away from the White House. We are now in our 5th school year, and we have an amazing community of families and students. This past year, U.S. News and World Report named Acton on a list of 10 top private schools in Washington, D.C. This list includes 100-year-old institutions like Sidwell Friends and Georgetown Day, where the presidents and Supreme Court justices send their kids. Most importantly, our daughter Madeline is now 8 years old, and she is thriving at Acton. I see in her eyes the joy that I saw in Charlie's all those years ago. And that makes the hard work worth it. I tell this story in this particular way because every Acton is started by parents for the love of their own children and others in the community. From that very first Acton started by Jeff and Laura for their 2 boys, the network has experienced exponential growth. There are now 350 Actons started by parents in 25 countries, all around the US. From Austin to Chicago to LA to Denver to Salt Lake City, all around the world, from Guatemala City to Kuala Lumpur to Cape Town to London. This experience has doubled down in my belief in the power of entrepreneurs. When entrepreneurs deliver excellence in the marketplace, not just something marginally better, but 3x, 5x better for parents, it naturally leads to growth. First, giving exit options to hundreds, then thousands of parents looking for something better for their children. And like all things in the marketplace, the price starts to fall over time. Some Actons change a child's life for $1,500 a month. Others, $1,000. Some, just $700 a month. In America today, the average car payment is $700 a month. When a deeper and more meaningful education for your child is the price of a car payment, an exit option from traditional schools will be possible for millions and millions of families. Now let's return to Milton Friedman. In 1955, Milton Friedman wrote a paper outlining a policy that's become known as school choice. The big idea is, what if parents were the customers? Pass vouchers or tax credits give parents the funds to choose an option that is best for their child. To oversimplify somewhat, Milton Friedman argued, change policy first and markets will follow. Well, it's been 65 years since Milton Friedman inspired so many of us, myself included. Here is my lesson learned as a school entrepreneur. We need entrepreneurs to create options first. Only then will broad-based policy change follow. A parent wants to know how an option is going to be better for my child today. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Tell me about a typical day. This idea that the market will create better options is so theoretical. We need entrepreneurs to inspire, to show, not tell. Imagine this. Within 2 degrees of separation, every parent has a friend with a child at an Acton Academy or another school that is so much better for their child that they can't stop talking about it. At the playground, at the grocery store, at the coffee shop, they won't shut up about their school. Now, let me give you an example of what this feels like. By a show of hands, how many people remember that classic 80s movie, Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Bueller, anyone? In the movie, Ferris becomes an expert at faking sick days to avoid going to school. And then he goes out on fun-filled adventures in the real world, driving a Ferrari, visiting a museum, even singing in the parade. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is the delicious dream of every child. The best day is a sick day. No school. Compare this to a note I received from an Acton Middle School parent at our school this past Tuesday. I printed out the email. It reads, "Hey, David, our daughter is out sick today, obviously. Between you and me, she was absolutely crushed to miss school today. She was trying to pretend not to be sick so that I would let her go. How did we get so lucky with Acton?" She was absolutely crushed to miss school? Did any of you feel that way growing up in middle school and high school? I certainly didn't. She was absolutely crushed to miss school is a world in which statewide school choice is possible. This is a world where every parent, urban parent, suburban parent, low-income parent, middle-class parent, every parent has something at stake for their own child. This is a world with a broad-based constituency for policy change. So what does that mean for you in the state policy network? You are in the policy change business, after all. 3 things. First, build schools. Start an Acton Academy yourself for your own kids. Or find a school entrepreneur in your community and help them succeed. Second, serve the community. Host an Acton Children's Business Fair in your city. I guarantee it will be among the most fun days of your year. Third, lay the groundwork for policy change when the time is right. I'm still a big believer in school choice. It's absolutely worth fighting for. For instance, the reforms in Arizona and West Virginia are models for change. Yet what good is the best possible school choice reform if there are no inspiring schools for parents to choose? I leave you with a vision. It's an entrepreneurial vision. Imagine a single candle in the darkness. It is a candle lit by a parent for the love of their child. The beautiful flickering light represents love and pride and joy. Imagine how that single candle then lights the way for others. Soon, 1 candle becomes 2. 2 becomes dozens. Soon, the darkness is lit by thousands of candles. My challenge to you: light a candle. Light a candle and set the world ablaze. Thank you.